Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Good afternoon, Mid-Michigan. First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips joining you on this Monday, which is also a First Alert weather day. We are definitely experiencing some winter weather, to say the least. It is pretty chilly here today. We have found that our temperatures have just continued to kind of slide here through the morning and still into the afternoon. Not really much of a rebound for us. So it is going to be a chilly day. We'll first alert you to even more cold air coming in. We're also going to have a radar update. And we also are going to have a quick traffic update as well. Speaking of traffic, let's start out with our camera here in Birch Run. Overall, we've been in pretty good shape here. I was watching earlier this morning for us to be finding some snow squalls that have rolled through. Thankfully, those have not really been too much of a concern after the morning commute, though. Still not great timing to get the day started, but we are going to continue to see the potential for these conditions to still kind of be a little bit on the cooler side. So we are just going to be kind of watching here for the wind, the snow, and kind of keeping an eye to all things weather, because it definitely feels a little bit cooler outside as well. Here's also a live look outside where we are going to find here in downtown Flint. We did pick up a little bit more snowfall here throughout Genesee County. So we are going to be continuing to kind of see those conditions that are a little bit more snowy on some of our roads. The bricks have had snow on them for quite a while now, so we are continuing to kind of keep an eye to any slick roadways. Thankfully, we have started to see some improvements, and it even looks like the sun is trying to come through. Just when you think that it might not be coming out today, it's definitely going to try to make an appearance. So let's dive right into our First Alert weather day details. So that was issued over the weekend, and we are waking up and kind of living through the First Alert weather day today. We have those conditions that are going to carry on into Tuesday morning that are going to impact your normal routine. So that's why we are carrying the First Alert weather day through Tuesday morning. So far today, this is going to be kind of the snow component of it. We have the cold air that's coming. We have the lake effect that is up and running. So we are going to continue to kind of keep an eye out for some snow squalls, some snow showers, and we also are going to be monitoring temperatures. The temperature component is really why we're extending the First Alert weather day into Tuesday, because some of the coldest air this season is actually arriving tonight, and that is going to carry into tomorrow morning. Also, feel free, we are on Facebook Live. We're also on YouTube, and we're at WNEM.com. But I have the comments up here on our Facebook Live. So if you want to kind of let us know what you're experiencing, whether it's a cold, if you had some snow, it's always kind of helpful to know and kind of get those live reports. So feel free to hop into the comments and kind of let us know what you're seeing. I know that there are a lot of people who have been saying on social media that the blowing snow, the drifting snow has really been troublesome on a lot of back roads, but even some of those kind of getting closer to town. So just be cautious on travel. I anticipate still seeing some slick travel tonight going into tomorrow. And another thing with some of these snow squalls is that our visibilities can drop. So that's kind of really where it gets tricky and a little bit concerning, to say the least, especially when you're behind the wheel. And so here's a look at our pinpoint Doppler radar. We are seeing a little bit of snow that's been trying to get picked up towards Flint into Genesee County, but a lot of that's kind of fading away, moving out towards eastern Lapeer County. We have some snow showers that are setting up a little bit closer towards Roscommon County and coming in further north. Now this pocket's been a little bit more dense, and now it's trying to break apart, kind of creating more of those squalls. We are seeing our west northwesterly winds, so we've kind of been able to keep a lot of these further north. I'm also a little bit concerned kind of coming into the Tri-Cities that we might just be on the edge of the Gaylord and then the Detroit radars, to where we may not be picking up on that lake effect, because that happens a little bit lower in the atmosphere. So sometimes it is a little bit trickier for us to see that. But I do want to zoom in here to the lake effect that we have kind of building in towards our north. So we are going to be finding that those visibilities do drop down in some of these squalls. So for folks that have been traveling along 127 and 75, those have definitely been tricky at times. So that's where we want to first alert people that you can have some of those conditions that really vary on our roadways, to where we're in good shape, and then suddenly if you're traveling north on 75, then it really becomes problematic for you. So We'll just continue to kind of keep an eye on these snow squalls as we go throughout the afternoon, see how far south and east that they want to travel. And of course, if you're going to be traveling even north of US 10, keep an eye to radar, but also no matter what your travel plans are today, just open up the First Alert weather app. It's great to have that up and running so that you can see what those conditions are on radar. I'll pull up that full screen of the QR code so you can get that downloaded, or if you already have it, it's updated. And the other good thing is that you know that we're hanging out here at the First Alert desk, so you got the reminder. But also this morning I was sending some traffic updates there, kind of keeping an eye to those conditions. I will prep those traffic maps for everybody so we can kind of get the latest look at those. So we are finding that, of course, with the snow that we have, it is kind of slowing down some of our locations further north. Overall, the main highway system, a lot of us have been in the green, and that's what I've kind of noticed is that we're in the green and then some snow pushes through. We see a lot of yellow lighting up the map, and then we go back to green. So it seems to be that we're able to rebound and kind of recover pretty well. Here in our northern portions, though, you will see that we have M18, M30, a little bit sluggish with a lot of yellow showing up. We're also seeing portions of 75, though, where we're really seeing those bands setting up, that we are finding that we have reduced speeds. Also coming into the thumb, I'm noticing a lot of yellow here on the map. We have seen some improvements throughout the Tri-Cities. We had some lighter snow come through this morning in the Saginaw area, and then we even had a crash that was reported closer towards the Zilwaukee Bridge. So thankfully that has been cleared, and the whole bridge wasn't completely closed. I think it was 2 lanes that was blocked. So we are seeing some improvements there, but of course even a little bit of snow can kind of slow down our roadways. Actually, this morning when we had that snow squall that came through Genesee County, that really was packing a punch, and it was not well timed with the morning commute. So we had a lot of yellow here on many of our roads, and then we had a lot of accidents that were then funneling into the system coming in behind it. So I'm glad to see more green. I'm glad to see that those red crash boxes are not showing up here. But again, just know that you can have those changing road conditions depending on what you actually do pick up. I do want to pull up our MDOT map because I anticipate that crews are still out. They were applying materials this morning. They were doing some plowing. So just kind of trying to pull that up here so that we can get a look at what they're doing. Well, that's loading though. I do want to update everybody on how it feels because we talked about the snow part of this. So let's talk about the feels like temperatures. We are finding those that start to have those little dashes out ahead of them. So we are sitting sub-zero for many of our communities. It feels like it's about -5 in Bad Axe and Caro, -4 in Gladwin, same in Houghton Lake. We have a wind chill of 4 degrees though on the positive side for Mount Pleasant and West Branch. It feels like it's 1 below in Saginaw, 2 below in Owasso, and about 6 below for Flint, Marlette, Port Sanilac, and into Caseville. So pretty chilly. I know I've had some extra layers on today to kind of combat the cold, and of course we'll be doing the same thing tomorrow. So make sure that you're just bundled up and kind of taking care. We're going to talk about future wind chills, and you'll really see why we want you bundling up so you don't have to worry about frostbite concerns. But we will see wind chills as we go here through the afternoon, at least in the next 12 hours. Then we're still going to kind of be hanging out sub-zero. So we'll be seeing those anywhere from about 0 to -10, but that -10 starts to show up closer towards midnight, and that's when we have that push of cold air, some Arctic air settling in. So it's January after all, so it looks like we're going to have a pretty cold spell that does come in. Now, air temperatures, we are finding those that are sitting into the teens. We kind of dropped a little bit, but I've seen a little bit of a resurgence here through the afternoon. So a lot of our air temperatures are around 15, 16, 17, even 18 degrees. We do have Mount Pleasant at 20, so that's pretty impressive. That's our hot spot here today. But a lot of us are still going to be kind of hovering with air temperatures here into the teens. So if you're going to be going to any MLK events, make sure that you are kind of keeping an eye to whether it's indoor or outdoor, and make sure that you're dressed appropriately if it is outdoor. I know we've seen a couple of cancellation notices come into the newsroom on some of those events just because they were outside, and of course with temperatures that are this chilly, they want to be cautious and safe for everybody. So just know that if you are going to be going to some of those service events, that you are checking in with organizers to make sure that it is a go if it is being held outside. Now our winds today, those are still going to be elevated. We're going to be seeing those even up towards 30, 40 miles per hour. So that wind is going to go and kind of pick up any snow that we have on the ground and blow that all around. So that's why we are still first alerting you that visibilities can drop not only in snow squalls, but in that blowing snow. We will see the wind kind of settling down a little bit as we go into this evening, but still seeing those around 20, 25 miles per hour are going to continue to kind of be a little bit of a problem for us. When we look at our current wind speeds, we are going to find those gusts are definitely delivering, getting up around that 30-40 mile per hour range. So it's definitely been a blustery afternoon. That's why it's adding into where our temperatures are just falling. So then when we see even more cold air in and seeing the wind still elevated, it's definitely going to be a little bit more of a problem for us. Now we are still going to be talking about the snow and getting another radar update, but also looking at some snow totals and kind of also what we can expect for those frigid temperatures that are going to be rolling in for tonight. So make sure you stay tuned. We are going to take a real quick 1-minute break, and then we are going to be back in just those quick 60 seconds. And we are back. See, that was just a super fast break. So as we kind of get settled back into our forecast on this first alert weather day, we've been talking about the snow squalls, the blowing snow, and the cold air. So it's really kind of all of these weather elements coming together for us to see those just really uncomfortable conditions. The reason why we issued the first alert weather day is we just anticipated that your normal routine was going to be impacted. Even with us not having school today, you're going to find that it's just bitterly cold. The furnace is going to be running. You're probably going to have to put extra wood in the wood burner. So you are going to just find that you're doing things a little bit more frequently to try to keep the house on the warmer side. But also if you are driving with the blowing snow, the drifts, and also just visibilities, that's definitely not normal either, and that can slow down your travel. So that's why we issued the first alert weather days. We just know that you're going to experience some impacts from all of these weather elements that have been coming together. If you are still going to be traveling today, make sure that you're just going with some caution outside. Of course, again, those visibilities and also the cold air. If you're going to be spending extended periods outside, just make sure that you're taking care of yourselves. Now, we did have those winter weather advisories that were coming in, so you are going to be finding those across most of our mid-Michigan communities, except though Aranac and Iosco County, you are not in the advisories, but this advisory does last until 10 a.m. on Tuesday. So when you read that full bulletin text from the National Weather Service, you're going to see that they talk about the snow component first and kind of how the lake effect and some of those snow squalls coming in and then dropping visibilities. But then also, if you keep reading down lower, this isn't just for snow. They also put a lot of their cold weather information. So the National Weather Service will do that. They'll kind of put all components together here in the forecast. So that's what they've done with this. So don't just think, oh, it's the snow. It is also for the cold. So those cold alerts, they won't be issuing those separately. That's why they're actually just keeping the advisory until about 10 a.m. on Tuesday, because hopefully then we can kind of get out of that region to where we won't need the advisory when we look at those temperatures. So let's talk about feels like conditions. This is what you can expect, and this is what you need to be dressing for, because this is what it's going to be feeling like outside, and it's not going to be feeling very warm. We're going to be finding that we're kind of hovering around zero here for the afternoon. As we go into this evening, closer towards 11 o'clock midnight, that's really when we have that first gush of cold air that comes in. So we're going to be finding those to be around 10 to 15 10 to 15 degrees below zero. Not talking winds, talking temperatures. So we are going to be looking at those temperatures to be cold here through the night. So those are going to continue to be around 10 to even 15 degrees below zero as we go into tomorrow morning. And this is kind of for some of our school districts getting a little bit borderline on that bus stop protocol and what those wind chills are going to have to be. So make sure that you're just checking in with school districts to see if they're on time or if they have kind of the ability to go tomorrow, just really depending. If your school is on time and going, make sure that the kids are bundled up. Tomorrow is not a day that we can wear shorts. That's not okay. No flip-flops either. It's definitely going to be pants, closed-toed shoes, maybe your boots so that your feet don't have that cold soaking through the sidewalk. But also just having your favorite hoodie, make sure that it's a comfy day. So just make sure that you're kind of dressed for layers tomorrow. You're definitely going to be thanking yourself, because even as we go throughout the day, Though we do see our temperatures rebounding a little bit, we're still seeing our readings into the negatives for some of us. We just kind of get back to that 0 mark as we go into Tuesday. So it's going to be on Tuesday morning. It's one of the coldest mornings that we've had so far this season. Let's do another quick radar update before we hop into the hour by hour. We are going to be seeing that we have some snow showers, and they are going to still continue to come across our northern counties. One thing I also want to know, because I know this morning I've been talking our snow map of what we've been picking up here so far today, going in and throughout tomorrow morning. We did have our snowfall map from last evening. So if you're in Roscommon County and you're like, hey, Diane, I've received more than an inch. So this is what we had kind of going through this zone. So what we picked up last night coming through. So the map that I was showing this morning was just kind of the additional of what we were going to pick up. But we did have that 2 to 5 zone because of the lake effect coming throughout Roscommon, Ogama counties, even northern Clare County, just kind of having those snow showers trailing through. And then that 1 to 3 zone kind of further south, headed towards the Great Lakes Bay region, the Thumb into Flint along I-69. So that's kind of that map on what we were looking at. Now, when we look at the hour by hour, we are going to continue to kind of keep an eye to these snow showers. This is a little bit strong on the coverage compared to what we're actually seeing on radar and also what we are experiencing, because this had here right around lunchtime us seeing a band of some heavier snow coming through Genesee County. And as you'll see here in downtown Flint, that's not really kind of playing out for us. So we don't quite have those returns on radar. But we are going to find that we still just need to kind of keep an eye on these changing conditions, because as that flow moves, we can still pick up on these snow showers. So that's just something to be mindful. It's not only the morning commute that we could have some trouble with, but the evening commute as well, especially if you get caught in some of those squalls. And as those continue to move across, even though we're just seeing them north right now, as those continue to move across, we are going to find that they can be a little bit sluggish then for our roadways. So we are going to keep those snow chances in through the evening. During the night, though, with all that cold air coming in, cold air means drier, so we're not able to hold a lot of moisture. So that Tuesday forecast is pretty much dry. We have a little lake effect out over Huron, but with a straight westerly wind, we don't have too many snow showers from Lake Michigan for us. We are going to find that thankfully Tuesday we can catch our breath before Wednesday. We once again have a chance for seeing some snow. So this is going to be entering during the morning commute. I really don't see totals that are going to be all that strong on the north side. I actually do want to pull this back though, because one thing that you will also find if we kind of had this in the more zoomed out, I have it more localized here, but that we do kind of have a ribbon of some snow that's a little bit stronger just south of mid-Michigan. So we still see the effects from it, but we are going to find that maybe some higher totals are possible further south. So if you're a commuter from the vehicle city to the motor city, you may find that you run into a little bit more snow compared to our friends further north. But as we go throughout the day on Wednesday, it does start to break apart into the morning, and then we just continue on with some of those scattered snow showers, some squalls, and those are just going to kind of be hanging around into our Wednesday evening plans. Temperatures on Wednesday, though, not as chilly. We'll be seeing those into the 20s, so the good news is that we see a little bit of relief and rebound. Now I am going to be bringing up that snow map here. So this kind of goes through Tuesday morning. Of course, some of this picks up on banding. One thing that I kind of also notice is that when we look at the contouring or the coloring of this map, is it does kind of pick up that westerly wind shift where we are seeing a little more northwesterly now. So that of course can kind of vary. So when we have these bands setting up, that can really add up to a little bit more snow. But we are going to be finding that we do have about an inch or less expected for many locations. Of course, though, we have already seen some decent and measurable snow so far. So this is just kind of picking up on what we have left here from here around 1 o'clock going into tomorrow morning. So that's why these numbers continue to kind of drop here as we make these updates to the forecast. So I still plan on some of that snow. Keep an eye to visibilities. Let's actually take a check of the visibility map, see if anything's getting picked up on any of our sensors. So yeah, you can see, especially in Huron County, actually Chris was talking in the group saying that a lot of you are mentioning that whiteout conditions, visibility is very tricky in Huron County. So we are finding that it's definitely a little bit slower travel for some of us. And of course that blowing snow, when we have those conditions, you are going to find that it is a little bit tricky outside to maybe navigate those roadways. I do also want to bring up that MDOT map here. So let me bring that up. So you can see that there are some plows that are going, they're working and kind of trying to cut through some of that snowfall even further north where we are picking up on those snow bands. You can definitely see southbound 75 seeing some red there. So I anticipate as some of those bands come through, people are hitting the brakes and kind of crawling through, hoping that that squall moves out pretty quickly. The National Weather Service office in Detroit, they will issue snow squall warning. So if you have the First Alert Weather app, that's another great tool to have, because then you can get some updates there on those conditions. So just kind of something to keep in mind, that there are a lot of good tools and resources. Let's also pull up that 7-day forecast, because we are going to be looking at our conditions that are still sparking the First Alert Weather Day for tomorrow morning, with the cold temperatures coming in. Wednesday, we do have that lighter snow chance. Accumulations also look to be light on that one. I'm kind of watching a range of 1 to 3 to start us out at. So of course, we'll kind of have an eye on those conditions going forward. And then we will see that Thursday is another quiet day, but Thursday night, don't let Thursday catch you off guard, because Thursday night we actually have air temperatures that fall into the negatives for lows. So that's going to be kind of the start of this really cold shock. This potentially could even be colder than what we are experiencing and even forecasting for tomorrow. So air temperatures in the negatives. We'll be watching for wind chills, and with all that cold air, I did put some flurries here across the board. I'm only at 10% though for Saturday and Sunday, which isn't really all that strong of a chance. And the reason why I didn't have that strong chance is we have high pressure coming in. So this all kind of aligns. When you have high pressure in the winter, typically that does give you some sun, kind of partly cloudy skies to be possible. And with the cold air, that's why I left the flurries. But we have a chance of seeing some sun this weekend, so I'm excited. I know it's only Monday. It's kind of easy to get ahead of myself, but if we have the chance of seeing some of that sunshine here during the winter season, we will always take a look at that. So we are going to find, though, that we have just kind of that surge up on Wednesday around 27, but it's still going to be kind of chilly going into the weekend. So keep an eye to those wind chills if we need to do a First Alert Weather Day because of the cold temperatures. Of course, we're kind of already keeping an eye out and talking about it. But of course, make sure that you are being mindful with the cold temperatures tomorrow to cover any exposed skin. It is going to be cold. We want to make sure that frostbite is not a concern for you. So just kind of take care of yourselves here the next couple of days. I know some of you are saying that looking forward to spring to come in. Megan was wondering about Owasso Public Schools. Definitely check in with the school district themselves because they're going to have they know what their protocol is, to where we don't have all the schools listed on what their wind chill protocol is for the bus stop. So make sure you're just checking in with them to see what the plan is. And they may need to just wait kind of till the morning to see how things are. We are going to be finding that we still have just a lot of winter weather here in the next 7 days. So kind of keep an eye to the First Alert forecast. Make sure that you are being prepared for that cold weather coming in here. And also just check in with friends, family. Also, don't forget to take care of your furry friends. I know some folks want to leave them outside, but when it gets this cold, bring them in. Also, don't forget that those water dishes can freeze up. So make sure that they are at least heated to where that they have that fresh water available to them. So kind of check in on everybody as we get through all of this cold air. But thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. And First Alert Chief Meteorologist Chris Eastlick, he will have a look at your forecast and all the First Alert Weather Day details here at the desk coming up tonight at 9 o'clock. So you can join him at WNEM.com on the TV5 News app. Also, you can find him at the WNEM YouTube and Facebook pages. And then if you're a big fan of streaming, if you have a Roku or Fire Stick, you can find TV5 on there and join the stream within those apps. So lots of ways to connect with us. But thank you so much for hanging out with me this afternoon. And of course, we look forward to kind of keeping you updated here through the next couple of days on all the snow happenings. But stay warm and stay safe.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.